Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and joining me this week are my go-to podcast compadres, almost screwed it up there, Levi Fletcher.
Hey.
And my other go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lieber.
Hi, Jimmy.
Joe, why are you so down?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
Do you want to air your grievances now?
I went and saw Infinity War. That's why I'm all upset.
Well, that's okay, because we are going to talk about Infinity War. We're going to get it all out there, but don't worry, that's going to be a little bit later on. We will do a spoiler-free portion, and then I'll flip the old spoiler switch here, and then we'll go to a spoiler discussion. But first off, because we want to welcome everybody, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. We talk movies, games, TV shows, all that lovely stuff. We'll talk a little bit about the news first. A little bit about the news, eh? So we have 3 trailers that dropped this week. We're not going to go super in-depth on them. But
Grazie, Jimmy.
Prego, Joe. So there's 3 trailers that came out. We have 2 for games, 1 for a movie. Tomb Raider, I think it's Shadow of the Tomb Raider came out, just a CG trailer. We had another kind of story-driven CG trailer from, or maybe even in-game actually, from Red Dead Redemption 2, and an Antman&Wasp trailer. Now you boys I know aren't like super keen on Tomb Raider so much. I think I'd probably be like the guy who enjoys those games the most. But the thing that I've heard about this one is that there's like this preview event that went down, and it's all about Lara's descent into kind of her own narcissism and kind of violent tendencies. And this game is very much, they said, you feel like the Predator a little bit, because you are like, in these games, you kind of stalk and kill these guys one at a time. Like this is like, you're in the jungle, you're covered in mud, you're jumping out of trees and stuff, stabbing guys. And it was really cool in the trailer to see some of that. But that's kind of where it's been going, and seeing kind of Lara change from just like this, just happy like adventurer trying to figure out this stuff, into just like this murder machine. So I'm kind of excited about it. It's coming in September, so it's going to be a little ways out. It's going to be very crowded fall, but she's coming out a little bit before end of September, before all that other crazy stuff. But speaking of craziness in the fall, we have Red Dead Redemption 2. Levi, you saw this trailer. How do you feel about it?
I think it looks good. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Red Dead series. I've been itching to get into it, and Jimmy told me to wait for 2, so I'm waiting.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's a prequel, I think, before the last game. So it's like story-wise for all of us, it's new stuff, but it's still like slightly intriguing. I felt like it was kind of cliched at moments. Joe, I don't know. You just watched it. What is your hot take?
Well, anything Old West style is going to seem cliche because it's Old West. It is what it is,
Been done.
It's been done, but it's something I think people always have a bit of a taste for. Yeah, I think there's not much to take the place of a good old-fashioned Western with a bunch of repeaters and lever action rifles and whatnot, and horses. Yeah, stunts are cool. It's practical. Just a good old-fashioned good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I forgot what your question was, but anywho, Red Dead Redemption, I'm excited for it. I really think it'll be cool. Grand Theft Auto vibes, but in the Old West, I think lends itself to maybe more creative pathways. Obviously, the options in game may not be as endless, but perhaps it'll give you a more intimate feel with story mode options, or even multiplayer co-op type activities and things like that, and missions. I hope they really capitalize on that, and that they make it easy to do.
Yeah, that's the hope too. I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of like 4-player co-op campaign. I know it sounds crazy, but other games have done it. And I think with the gang vibe of this whole game, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I just want to see gameplay. Like, I think we're going to see it at E3 in one capacity or the other. My guess, if I were Microsoft, I would be trying to get those exclusive, like our DLC comes out first on Xbox, like a month early. Like, that's what you do if you're Microsoft. You go to Rockstar and you're like, hey guys, quick thing. Here's like a lot of money. Please, we want to be associated with this game. Looks best on Xbox One X. Like, I feel like that's how you spin that, your E3. Like, people be like, oh, here's the gameplay shown at Microsoft's E3 press conference. Like, I'm just calling it now. I'm just saying.
I hope they break their, Rockstar mold a little bit. Where how GTA and Red Dead looks so familiar. Hopefully they do a little bit differently this time.
Do you mean just like in the gameplay itself or something else?
Just like the look of the game and the gameplay itself.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing though is what we're gonna get. Like, as far as like the actual look, and I think it looks prettier. I think Red Dead Redemption was a pretty good looking game, but this one seems to have a little bit more color. The old Red Dead was a little bit more like brown. Everything was kind of brown. So I see what you're going for. Maybe after this one, they won't do the whole like Bethesda between like, hey, we've got like Elder Scrolls and then we have Fallout. It's like I don't want that to be Rockstar. It's like Grand Theft Auto, and then they switch over to Red Dead and then Grand Theft Auto Red Dead. So maybe they'll break out after this one, make a sequel to one of their other games. Who knows? But anyway, hypometer, boys. Levi, where are you at? 0 to 100 degrees of hype for Red Dead.
I mean, just going into it blind, I'm gonna give it like an 80 out of 100.
Cool. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Joe, how about you, man?
I trust Rockstar. I'll give it a strong 9.
Oh, nice. It's sweltering. Yeah, I like Rockstar, but I'll just cut the difference, boys. I'm gonna go 85. I'm excited about it. I just want to see the game, and the story like will mean a lot more once we actually get into it. Because right now it's just like a bunch of guys running around being a gang. It's like I don't really care about anyone.
What's kind of your hesitation about it? Do you feel like you've done this kind of game before enough that?
Sure, I guess a little bit of it, because Red Dead Redemption, the first one, it kind of, I should say, well, this is like the second. It's weird because this is more like the third one that's coming out, and Red Dead Redemption is like the second because there's Red Dead Revolver. Anyway, Red Dead Redemption was kind of the aftermath of being in a gang and like kind of trying to find your life after that. And this one is kind of like the glory days. So I'm excited to go back to the world. I just want to see the game. Like the Rockstar's shooting has never, like the third person has never been the best. I think it was better in Red Dead Redemption than it is in Grand Theft Auto, honestly, Grand Theft Auto 5, because the gunplay is such a focus. Because in Grand Theft Auto, there is a lot of shooting, obviously, but it isn't the main way to like do stuff. Like in Red Dead Redemption, it's the Old West. Like the only way to communicate typically really well with people is with both barrels pointed at them, and you're like, "Hey, you're gonna do this."
Dangerous end of a gun.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's a lot of interesting kind of fun things to do in that game. But I just want to experience it with you guys. I've heard the rumors of the battle royale stuff. I just really want that campaign to be amazing, and I want to be able to experience with you guys, and I want to be able to customize my guy. Like I want to be able to specialize a little bit because they haven't really dipped into the RPG stuff much. I would love it if they push that. They're like, hey man, if you want to like get into the gunslinger tree or the sharpshooter tree or stuff like that, that'd be pretty cool. But you should be able to use any gun. That's what I'm saying. So, if we can play this game together and we can set up an ambush where I've got like you, Levi, you're like upstairs with a rifle, like looking over a town. Joe and I are going out for like a little meeting or whatever. Joe has to like hold his hand up if the meeting goes sour, and you just shoot this guy, and then we just like that's what I crave, baby. Oh, give me some of that freaking Tombstone, Tombstone vibes.
I like that. I like all of that.
Yeah, see, emergent gameplay, or just forced into those moments. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we're excited. But yeah, we got Ant-Man&Wasp trailer, which dropped obviously now after Avengers: Infinity War. Looks fun. I think it just looks fun. There's not too much more I need to say about it than that. I don't know, Joe. Do you have any like you're not the biggest Ant-Man fan, but you still enjoyed the first one, right?
Unfortunately, I struggle to see how it is going to feel like it matters.
Yeah, I understand that because it's a prequel before Infinity War. I think they confirmed it. But yeah, after what we've seen now, I could see where you have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw post-Infinity War interviews where they said Ant-Man and Wasp were there. You just couldn't see them.
Yeah, exactly. They're tiny in every scene. Just like, right there.
No, I just, at this point, I just feel like it's insignificant to the whole grand scheme. Are they really players in the whole overarching story?
Maybe. We don't know. Plus, Hawkeye's probably going to show up there. And now, Levi, I know you kind of like Ant-Man. Like, they kind of came out around, I don't know if it's the same year as Doctor Strange. Like, it was kind of like an interesting year because I really enjoyed Ant-Man. But are you excited now after seeing this newest trailer? They throw a few new things in there that we haven't seen before. Gigantic Salt Shaker is one of them, one of my personal favorites. But how do you feel about it now?
I was a little underwhelmed. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I was a little underwhelmed with the first trailer. But yeah, I feel like it does look like a lot of fun. It does feel a little trivial.
Yeah.
We'll have to see where it fits in with the story. I wonder if maybe we should have gotten this story and then pushed Infinity War out a month, but I know they couldn't do that. But
yeah, you want to lead your summer strong, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'll go see the ending of this film and then be like, hey, Jimmy, let's go see Infinity War for the fifth time.
Yeah, for sure. It'll still be in theaters. They'll be like in July. Be like, Okay. Yeah. It's coming out July 6th, I believe, around that July 4th time. So I think it's a prime time to strike. Yeah, I see where you guys are coming from. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot like the upcoming Solo Star Wars film in that it's like connected to this other stuff, but it's supposed to just be fun. Like it's not supposed to be like everything's like the world and everything's destroyed. It's just like, yeah, we're having a fun time. It's just like a fun little jaunt, like lots of jokes, lots of quips. And I could see where some people are kind of turned off by that. But after Infinity War, it might be a nice little change of pace. So who knows? And I think they're hoping to do something similar with Spider-Man Homecoming 2 next year. So kind of following in the same time slot. So, all right, Joe, hypometer, 0 to 100. Where are you on Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Maybe a 4.5.
All right, 45. That's pretty chilly. That's
Not bad.
All right, Levi, how about you?
I give it like an 8.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
An 8.5. I think it's going to be a fun summer flick.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll say 80. I really enjoyed Ant-Man. I like Michael Douglas a lot. I think Evangeline Lilly is going to redeem herself in my eyes after the craziness of the Hobbit trilogy. Like, I'm excited to see her in a role that exists, and like she's going to be there and actually kicking butt, and she's very serious. And I think it's good for him to have a partner because he's just like this kind of weird free agent who just you never know what he's going to do. So I think it's good to have just the straight man to him, just kind of like this lady who's just messing people up. And plus she's got like all the skills of a Black Widow, but she can fly and she can shrink. Yeah. Or already better, guys. Like, so get Wasp on the Avengers immediately. Like, drives me nuts. Anyway.
What would she do though? What would she do?
What would you mean? What would she do? She do way more than Black Widow. I'm just saying right now.
Okay, I'll give her that.
Silly. Yeah.
I'm just saying you could replace Black Widow in a heartbeat. Gamora, Nebula, Wasp, Rocket. Just.
I think Evangeline Lilly is really going to shine in this film. I think she's cute. I like her actor. Like, I like that character, so I think she's really great.
She looks like she's having fun because she's playing like the character who's serious, but she's also excited to get this because she hasn't been given this power yet. And she's like, yes, it's my time to shine. And she just looks like she's having a good time in this movie, which is like, that's the point of this movie.
I'm looking in the future and I'm seeing next year, May, for, Avengers 4. And I'm just seeing these two as a duo just kicking butt and shrinking and getting big and just like, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I'm excited to see Lawrence Fishburne in there. I like that he's going to be playing. Why can't I even think of his name? Scott Pym Particles. Wait, Hank Pym. There it is. Hank Pym's like old colleague Goliath, and they're kind of talking about. He's like, yeah, the greatest, the tallest I ever got, was like 21 feet or whatever. And he's like, how about you? What's your tallest? And like Scott Lang kind of leads in, and he's like, 65. And he's like, what? Like, I was like, this is such a stupid thing that only these guys would talk about. They're like, yeah, I was 20 feet tall the other day. And he's like, man, I was like triple that the other day. It's like, oh, okay. All right, that's stupid. But really fun. And I like that the villain is going to have different powers, like the whole phasing, like the ghost ability. I think that's different than having just another with Yellow Jacket where it's like, oh, it's Ant-Man again with like an Iron Man suit upgrade. It's like,
did you notice that character looks very Destiny? Very Destiny-like?
You're totally like a hunter from Destiny. Yeah, Ghost looks totally like a hunter from Destiny. That's really funny, Levi. Oh my gosh.
First thing I picked up on, I was like,
That is really funny. If the hunter had like a phase ability, I don't know if they do. I don't think they do, but that would be really funny. It's like, yeah. But I think Ghost is from the comics, so cool. Different villain. I like it. It's good. Anyway, we're moving on, boys. Guess what we're talking about this week? We are talking, obviously, about Avengers Infinity War. Look at them. They're all over here. If only Disney Infinity could have had a Thanos, that would have been really freaking sweet. They probably have one in production. So for anybody watching this or listening to this right now, don't worry. We're going to talk just in broad strokes for a few minutes here before I flip the old spoiler switch here. Don't worry. But there's a timestamp down below. So you want to skip all of this if you haven't seen the movie yet. There's always a chance. Like, we're not going to try to spoil anything right now, but we're just going to broadly get into it. Anyway, Levi, give us a brief, spoiler-free plot synopsis, if you would.
Oh, boy.
You got the hard job.
Well, it's a lot of action. I'm not. Yeah, why don't you take the reins on that, buddy?
No, you're good. This is good. This is good.
I'm gonna spoiler.
Who's coming? Who's showing up? What's his name?
Thesis then. Thanos finally makes his MCU, well, not MCU, well, big MCU debut, arrival, brings his crew, and he's kicking butt, taking stones, and making us cry.
Perfect. I think that was a good one, man. That you just said it pretty well there, and it's just like everybody's joining up trying to fight him. It's tough. Joe, I need you to tell me a thing that you liked about this movie that isn't hyper specific, but is very vague and broad. If you were trying to sell me on this, and I was like, "Hey, man," and just neglect the fact that I'm wearing a Marvel shirt, like, "Hey, Joe, I want to see a movie this weekend, but I don't know what to see." And I wouldn't say I'm a huge Marvel fan. Is this Infinity War all it's cracked up to be? Sell me on it.
You see, you got the easy job.
How do I sell you on it?
And make it quick because I gotta go. I got things to do. I'm a man about town. I got things to do.
Trying to think of my favorite part about it that would sell you on it.
Remember, not hyper specific here. No spoilers.
I mean, Jesus, I'll give you a hand. How about the culmination of 10 years worth of filmmaking in one movie, baby?
What if? But I don't care about those Marvel movies. Why should I see it besides that? What's so cool about it?
Well, do you like action?
I do like action.
Do you like a sprinkle of comedy?
I do like sprinkled comedy.
Well, there you go.
Okay, cool. So it's like an action comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
Oh, I'm bad at this. I wouldn't be able to sell anybody on it.
Joe's just sitting there. He's like the ticket teller at the booth. They're like, "Excuse me, sir, we just want to know what you recommend." And you're like, "Ugh." You're like looking at all the movies, and you're like,
I'm like, that one there, because it's horror.
Taking his shirt off. He's like, You're like watching people die, don't you? My gosh, there's like a bunch of kids behind him. Like, Alien Covenant's it's fun for the whole family.
The whole family.
You want your little kids to get all tuckered out and have them stay up for 3 nights in a row with no sleep and constant terror. Like, oh.
If I had to keep it general broad, I would just say, regardless of whether you know a dang thing about the MCU, regardless of if you're in the superhero movies, this movie is through and through. I mean, it's a bit of a spectacle. I don't want to say feast for the senses, but it's pretty darn near that. Between the pace of the film, there's a good pace to it. Never do you find yourself yawning or getting a little bored. It's there's always something interesting to go on. Even if you came in fresh, you kind of get the sense of what's going on here. You understand what Thanos is doing. You understand what the other people are doing against him. It's a bit of a spectacle and enjoyable nonetheless, just through the pace, the aesthetic appeal of things, good design, little nuances here and there via the action scenes and all that. There's a lot of suspense. You're like, oh, what's going to happen here? You're on the edge of your seat and boom, wham, oh, that happened. Okay. Trying to keep away from the spoilers, but to keep it broad in general, to wrap all that into one package, it's a spectacle / bit of a feast for the senses, I think. So, and any movie that can really engage you in that way deserves to be seen.
Yeah. Well, so Joe, you recommend it. Sounds like. Levi, you would also recommend it.
I do.
Sounds like.
Yeah. I will warn you, it's a lot to process. Mm-hmm. Even if you are a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and you've seen them all, it's a lot to process. If you haven't seen any of it and you're new to it, it's still probably a lot to process. You're probably left with a lot of questions, even more so than others. But yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, it sounds like you both recommend this movie, like you were both saying. I
never outright said it. I'm just kidding.
All right. Okay, that's fine. I was gonna say that shameless plug though, I did review it spoiler free, unless you haven't seen the trailers, which is there. You can just listen to it. But I gave it a very high score. I would say that if you like movies, you like going to the movies, this is a reason to go. Now, there's a lot of movies out there and films that say this is like a true motion picture event. I'm not kidding when I tell you this. It truly is. There is nothing ever like this. And I know some people want to say, well, look, Star Wars. It's like, no. Star Wars, yeah, Star Wars has been building up in different ways over many years, that's for sure. But there's never been this type of decision and direction where they say, like, hey, man, here's 10 years, and we are building eventually to a point, and we are going to pay off on pretty much every storyline that you can think of, and we're going to do it in 2 hours and 40 minutes. It feels like how Lord of the Rings felt. Like, that's how it feels to me. When I walked out, I was like, it's like that. I screamed.
It's like,
exactly.
The little neighbor girl excited to hear about your synopsis.
She loves it. She loves it so much. Yeah, I hope the ice cream truck didn't get her.
are you sure?
I mean, if I had told you 10 years ago to, like, hey, you need to wait 10 years, but there's going to be a real big payoff, would you believe me?
Yeah, boys, anything else you want to add before I flip the old spoiler switch over here? Anything else you'd like to tell the folks? No? Okay. Well, oh goodness. Thanos help me. I swear, if anybody says to me, they're like, Jimmy, you didn't flip the spoilers, this is going to be the craziest spoiler switch I have ever flipped. Because for goodness sakes, this is every spoiler I think possible, and I'm terrified to turn this on.
Did we raise our budget on the animation for this?
We did, and it has a noise now, too, so people definitely know it's happening. Okay, ready? I'm going to ask for everybody to just be quiet, because if it cuts away, then I have to edit it around it. Anyway.
Oh my god, like Dragon Ball Z.
Everybody's dead, man. They're all dead. Every single Avenger. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. No, I was kidding. All right.
Might as well. Fucking A.
That was absolutely terrifying.
Thank you. I mean, I was scared because, like, honestly,
he was gearing up for a Kamehameha.
I almost shot one off because I was like, Thanos. All right. So there's obviously a lot to unpack here. I have written on this board here all the major Avengers and people in the movie, and I want to talk about them.
All right, so take your marker and that Star-Lord guy. Let's cross him off the list right away.
Okay. Well, I want to get to that, and we will start crossing them off, Joe, because I do have plans.
That asshole should stick to Jurassic World.
Okay.
Those are fighting words because some people love Star-Lord.
Girls
love him. Yeah.
So, I think, baby, before we get to Star-Lord, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start, as Julie Andrews would say, in The Sound of Music. So, we are looking at the ending of Thor Ragnarok. We're seeing that Asgardian ship get attacked, which is very much, I didn't really think about this, but it's a lot like Star Wars A New Hope, where they have, like, a big ship attacking a small ship, big villain shows up, kills, like, everybody. So, did you guys like how this movie started? We get Hulk versus Thanos for like a hot second. It's like, it's barely anything. I feel like Hulk just gets beaten up nowadays. Like, everybody could beat the Hulk. Like, I was thinking about, it's like Hulkbuster, Thor, Thanos. I'm like, everybody beats him. It's like, you kind of...
They kind of ruined the Hulk for us, but like, I think you said it best one time when I brought it up to you, Jimmy. In fact, after this movie, you're kind of like, yeah, but Hulk's like a trump card. They had to like keep that one reined in somehow.
We have a Hulk. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, did you guys like how he was kind of beaten, like kind of Thanos? It was cool that Thanos was like trained, so he kind of like hit him in the neck, and then he kind of was just like throwing him down and doing all this stuff, and Hulk was just like, I can't even.
Well, before that,
show you're not messing around.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, before that moment where it kind of was like disjointed, whatever, for a second, kind of like set you back. Before that moment, the throwback to the Avengers movie when Tony Stark comes out of the suit up in his tower and he's talking to Loki, and he's like, and Loki's like, I have an army. Stark's like, we have a Hulk, you know?
Yeah.
And then Loki used that same line on Thanos. Too bad it meant nothing, but
yeah, I wonder if like Hulk, if they planned that before and Hulk was like waiting, or if like, you know, if Taika Waititi would have directed this, Hulk wouldn't have shown up and Loki would have been like, where is he? And Thanos was like, I don't know, and chopped off his head, and they're like, But yeah, that's a good little moment, but it just seems like I think it's just a way to establish Thanos as a character. kind of like the protagonist in a weird way of this film. I was reading this big article about this by our friend Rick Hogue over at Hogue Law, and talking about how they kind of made this movie about Thanos and his quest, which, side note, I think would make for a sick video game if you got to play Thanos and you just went through getting all the gems. How sick would that game be? Like, all the bosses were Avengers, you're just like taking them down. You're like, yeah, I got the time stone. I grinded to get the time stone, so I'm gonna do that fight again.
I mean, you had all your planet hopping. It's
man, it'd be so good.
It'd be a great movie.
Yeah, okay. But, like, the beginning there, we have some deaths pretty quickly right out of the gate. Heimdall, Idris Elba, dead. I don't think anybody really cares. I thought he might have the Soul Stone. Like, that was kind of a rumor. He didn't. But then he ports Hulk away. He's like, all right, Hulk, get out of here. But Loki dying, I thought was, like, I wasn't completely shocked by it, but I think the manner in which they killed him was pretty brutal. Like, I like that he tried to kill Thanos, but, like, to get choked out like that and to see his lifeless body just like that was like, I've seen him die before, but not quite like that. Levi, did you have any feelings when you saw him get choked out?
Yeah, it was a lot. Usually, in a traditional Marvel film, you wait a long time to see anything like that on that scale. And just it goes to show that they're not fucking around this time around. So
yeah, that's true. Joe, how about you, man? When you see, like, just him pick up freaking Loki by the throat and just hold him, and he's just holding onto the gauntlet like, oh, I can't get out of here. Did you care about that?
Part of me kind of wonders how, at that time, he had the Power Stone, so what do we say? Was that helping him out? How strong is Thanos without the gauntlet?
He's very strong, and what I would say to anybody watching this is if you don't see a glow happening, that's just Thanos. I'm not kidding. Yeah. He's very strong.
I agree.
Yeah, we're talking like Asgardian levels, like pretty
he's a Titan. Yeah, he's a Titan. Let's remember that.
He's ripped. So
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Loki being as durable as he is and all that. I mean, it was pretty cool. Bit show offy, but they have to establish Thanos as a threat. So, what better way than to beat the shit out of the Hulk and kill Loki with one hand?
Yeah. Which another part of that intro that I love so much is that I was thinking about this more, but usually in the beginning of those, they show like the Marvel, like the, it's coming up and they show all the characters and stuff. There's usually like the music like dun, 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 like that, but it's like quiet. And you just hear like an Asgardian be like, this is an Asgardian like refugee ship. We're not a warship. But it's just like from the get-go, it's like, this is like really intense. Like there's no like, oh, it's going to be fun, happy Marvel times. It's like, man, this is not going to end well for a lot of people. But the one thing I wish we could have seen in this movie is Xandar from Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. You see the Power Stone, and that's where Glenn Close and the Nova Corps are. Apparently, he destroyed Xandar. Thanos and his forces destroyed it, and he got the Power Stone. And they're just like, yep, he just has it. It would have been kind of cool to see him just like walk away from the rubble of it, with like a Chitauri army or whomever.
You gotta kind of wish that they would have showed it.
Yeah, exactly.
We might get a glimpse of that in the next Avengers. They might go over and do like a little playback and
for sure. Yeah. So and then we move down to New York, which I think, like, if anybody asked me like, Jameer, we're living in a cool time of movies, I'd say yes, we are, because not too many times do I watch a movie and think like this is like a comic really coming to life. You have Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Wong, and Spider-Man fighting a telekinetic alien and another like big guy alien. Just like, these guys land and they're like, be happy you're liberated by Thanos and you can die by the hands of children of Thanos and all this stuff. And Tony's just like, yeah, dude, Earth's closed. You got to go somewhere else. Like, it's just like right from the get-go. Just like seeing these other characters come together. I love watching Strange and Iron Man, or I should say Tony and Steve, just talk to each other. Like, it's so good. And Levi, I know you're a big Doctor Strange fan. Would you say he's better in this than he was in his own standalone?
I wouldn't really say. It's hard to say better. He definitely gets to show off a little bit more. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Do you like his exchanges with him and Peter eventually?
Yeah, absolutely. He's more set now in his. He feels more comfortable as a character.
Yeah, it seems like he can't get away from the whole joke from like the first one where he's talking to Caecilius and he's like, Mr. and he's like, Doctor. He's like, Mr. Doctor. He's like, it's a strange name or whatever. And this one, he's like, I'm Doctor Strange. And Peter's like, oh, we're using our fake names. I am Spider-Man. It's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I like watching the interchange and him calling Peter, his Iron Man's ward. He's like, "Is this your ward or something?" I was like, "This is such a Batman and Robin moment right now." Like, it's like really funny.
What did he mean by that? I didn't get that.
So a ward is basically like if you take in
Squire.
Yeah, kind of.
Squire. Okay.
Kind of like if it's more like a modern day term for like taking someone in that's much younger and not related to you and kind of mentoring them.
Okay.
So, and I just Spider-Man's walking, Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark. So, Joe, what do we think of that Iron Spider suit? Do you like it? Do you like the extra 4 arms?
Yeah, the Iron Spider suit was pretty awesome. The extra arms are appropriate.
Yeah, pretty sleek. They didn't even show that in the trailer, which I thought was a really good job of not showing that off. I was like, good on you. Like,
oh yeah, I think we knew that was going to be the case, but they did a good job with this movie. Period, of not showing too much off in the trailer, but it's another discussion for another day on how trailers are ruining movies today.
Yeah. Or deceiving you to think that the Hulk is going to be in Wakanda, and he's not.
Oh my God! I never even thought about that.
We were lied to, unless it's from the next movie. They use the time stone, and they're like, the finale is the same finale as the last one. No, people would riot.
I have a little remark at the end after our discussion that I picked up on that I wonder if there's a little hint towards something there. Sure. But anywho, I'll hold that ace up the sleeve for a little bit. And maybe it's nothing special, but I think it is.
Okay. Well, talking about Tony Stark, kind of here amongst all this stuff, he kind of puts the timeline back in order. He says that the attack on New York happened 6 years ago. In Spider-Man Homecoming, they say like 8 years later or whatever. Sony just screwed up. So don't worry. Apparently these movies typically take place the same year that they release in. So if you're like, where's the timeline? If you care about that stuff at all, I thought that was I was like, oh, that's a nice little, I thought about it more. I heard about people talking about it. Oh, that's cool. Did we like the bleeding, kind of like the bleeding edge, the nanite suit that Iron Man's got? It's very Blue Beetle. Like DC, if you want to make Blue Beetle, just watch what they did in this movie for Iron Man with the whole, like, he can kind of transform it into a gun or into some blades and stuff. Like, I thought it looked pretty good. I still miss the OG, like, Iron Man suit, Joe. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It was weird how he could regenerate it, but as it kept getting destroyed, he didn't have enough to like make it complete. So like as he was getting his ass beat up, he was like regenerating it to areas where he was gonna get hit.
I love when he gets the helmet ripped off and a helmet, he's like, whoa, and then another helmet comes right up right away. He's like, oh, I don't
yeah, I mean that's unreal. That kind of technology is almost like unfathomable.
Yeah.
But
it's a cool showcase for his like abilities with his suit, though.
Yeah, and in the beginning too, when he kind of pulls out those other, we don't really see him do that too much, but those other kind of pulsar cannons, and Bruce is like, "Where did you get those?" He's like, "Oh yeah, this is my new suit. I can do a lot with it." Basically, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Like,
yeah, it's kind of cool how he would
some
use
adjustments.
it. Yeah, how he would like use it to anchor to something with like it would transform and like kind of anchor him to the ground or whatever, or like on Thanos' foot when they fight. Anchors him and then he uses it to anchor his body so his punch has more force, stuff like that. I mean, it's smart, logical, but yeah, I mean, in the end, I wonder, I mean, the regenerating thing is great and handy. I wonder how strong that is in comparison to the normal one. I'm not going to dive into it. The science, there is no science there.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. No,
don't even start.
Not the point when a telekinetic alien is flinging you about, you know.
No, that makes sense because if you think about it.
Which I love that there's a moment where this guy captures Doctor Strange because he's got the Eye of Agamotto, or the Time Stone, and you think he's got him, and then the cape, the cloak of levitation or whatever, it like pulls him, it like wriggles him out, his unconscious body out of the rebar, and it just like flies away. It's like, oh, we gotta get out of here.
I love that cape, or the cloak. It's a cloak.
Yeah,
I remember that.
It has some great moments where it like slaps Tony in the beginning, and they have these like little moments where it's just kind of floating around, just like, it's like, hey, what's going on, guys?
It's his Jarvis, it's his side character.
Yeah. Oh, but he's just got so much personality. Or wraps his head around Drax and just slams his head, or stops Thanos from closing his fist. He's like, make sure he can't close his fist. It's like,
yeah.
He's like, what the heck? Like,
oh yeah, and then Thanos rips it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right, let's see. We've talked about that first initial group. Let's talk a little bit about the Guardians and the fact that they kind of start off running into Thor and their interactions there. I enjoyed watching Peter Quill / Star-Lord get put in his place. Like, everybody on the crew is like, even Drax is like, he's like, oh, this is a man. And he's like, no, Star-Lord, you're like a dude. this is a man, you know. And they're like, you know, Gamora's like, oh, his muscles are made out of like almost like this metal fiber thing. He's like, stop massaging his muscles and stuff like this. And they're all just like, he's incredible. And Thor, just when he wakes up, the way that he talks to everybody is just kind of like, okay, like I guess we'll work together. You know, I'm gonna work with this rabbit, referring to Rocket, and his relationship with Rocket, which I think is, I like it a lot. I think they have a good back and forth, and I think that out of all the actors in this movie, Bradley Cooper is the most transformative. When I listen to Rocket talk, I don't even think it's Bradley Cooper. I'm like, that's a character. Like, he's all there.
True. That's true.
Levi, did you have any favorite, like, of the Guardians, their interactions, or any of them that stood out to you in this film as opposed to prior films?
I felt like Star-Lord was just a little bit more obnoxious than usual.
Yeah.
Did you get that kind of vibe? Like he knows he doesn't need to be that obnoxious, but he was just a little bit. I think maybe his lines were a little bit too cocky. Drax was hilarious.
Yeah.
Super funny. Gamora, rip, but yeah, I like them all. Teenage Groot, it grew on me.
I think Drax's whole bit about, and I rewatching it, I looked for it. He's not standing there, but when Gamora and Peter are talking, and they kind of have this romantic moment, and he's like, "I've been standing here," and like, "For how long?" He's like, "An hour," and he has it. He's just immediately lying, and then telling him like, you know, like my movements are imperceptible to like a regular eye, and just like that whole bit. Like it's like it's just enough, but it wasn't too much, and I think. That's
Batista does a great job with that character.
If they wouldn't have done that, the movie would have been 2 hours and 35 minutes instead of 2 hours and 40 minutes.
It wouldn't have mattered, Joe. That's important because they needed levity, man. Plus, I think what was good about this, as opposed to other Guardians films, it would have been like, that's a joke. And then the next thing would have been like another big joke and another big joke, because there weren't too many scenes with a ton of jokes in them. That's why they stood out even more, because it's like, oh wow, like it was like a moment to be like to breathe, because you're like, oh thank God, like because it's all so like dire. It's like, oh man.
For a second there, I forgot about what was happening outside of that ship.
Yep, for just one moment, and then the whole friggin' Mantis comes in. Hi Drax. He's like, damn, just like walks away. But yeah,
you had mentioned you thought Thor, Chris Hemsworth was a little, what's the word, unusual or kind of uncharacteristic or goofy.
Did I say that? I know he wasn't
up in the ship.
Yeah, I like that he kind of he's a little bit back to the old school Thor that you see like in the first Thor movie, where it's more like have another, you know, kind of thing. He's just very much like, you know, I am Thor, blah blah blah. It's not very like, he's very quippy in Ragnarok. He's very much like, you know, he's on the down low.
I think they pulled his character back a little bit because he has such a weight, you know.
Yeah, and he's just lost pretty much everything.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I like that they gave him the appearance of being a little unhinged in multiple facets mentally. You know, he even mentions that, you know, dealing with, you know, incredible loss and what was the word? Anger.
Yeah, she was like
revenge. All great motivators.
Yeah, our friend of ours, Drew, he said he didn't like that part. He thought it was kind of cheesy for him to say that, but I thought it was kind of good, because I think this time, besides having Asgard get destroyed and, you know, losing a sister, but then also Odin, and now like probably for sure Loki, like this is the first time that we see Thor without like much to fight for. Like, he's just kind of like,
lost James, he's lost his mom, he's lost his dad.
Yeah, exactly.
There aren't any more Asgardians. He's it.
Yeah, and it's just like revenge. He's just and talking about, and that's like his motivator for this film. And I like that this movie, Vision does this to Cap because they're like telling Vision later on, they're like, you can't just give up your life, Vision. And Vision talks to Cap. He's like, you laid down your life back in World War II to save millions. And like the movie calls itself out and stuff. And Thor does the same thing with Rocket. He's like, Thanos has never fought me and won. And Rocket's like, yeah, he has. Like, he's totally beaten you. Like, that's the first thing you see. You don't know who it is. And he's like, Thanos is holding Thor. And he's like, but he's never fought me twice. It's like, oh, yeah. You're like, that a boy. You're like, keep going, Thor. Like, it's just very like, we got to get here to make this new hammer, which to me gets into the weirdest thing in the film. And that's when we're making Thor's new hammer, axe, Stormbreaker, which is typically in the comics given to Beta Ray Bill. We've seen this like a bust of him, as it were, a big statue of him in Ragnarok at the Grandmaster's place. But Peter Dinklage is playing a giant dwarf. Now, to me, I thought he was unnecessary. Huh?
Oxymoron.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It just that's how it goes. He seemed unnecessary. I want to know what you guys think. Levi, how do you feel about? I think his name's Etri or Atri.
Petrie.
I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Game of Thrones. So I was excited to see him at first glance, but then when he started speaking, I was like, why? Why are you talking like that? You don't need to talk like that. It really ruined the character for me. I feel like that was the most, pulling out of the experience moment. But
Yeah, because like everybody in our theater was like kind of laughing, kind of like, is that the Game of Thrones guy? It was like they cast it too big. Like they shouldn't have done that.
No. And I mean, he was fine. They could have cast him that way, but like you said, just talk normal and just done something like a different voice effect or something. You didn't need to do a different accent.
Yeah, exactly. They have the money to change his voice. Just be like, talk normally, Peter, and then we'll change it in post.
It's like people had a problem with your weird accent in Destiny. Why did you think it was going to be okay here?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, that's actually a good point.
You got ripped out of an entire video game for being a shitty, voice actor.
Yeah, that was such a weird back in the day. Joe, how about you, man? How did you feel about Eitri, one of those? I don't know.
I didn't really care. I thought it was like, whoa, that's Peter Dinklage. Huh. Holy crap.
I just think like the molds were already in place. I don't think you needed anybody else but like Rocket and Groot to do that. I thought it would have been kind of cool because Rocket's so smart. He could be like, yeah, it's a forge. Like it's pretty crude, like he could think of like how to figure this out. You don't need to bring in this other player. It's like
how
just
to
have
start up the dying sun and all that. I don't know. Whatever. It was fine. It was fine to kind of give a little nod to the dwarves that were there, the giant dwarves.
But Joe, it could have been a 2 hour and 35-minute movie. We could have saved 5 minutes.
I know. But I mean, of all the things, I don't know. I get what you guys are saying because I mean, it was kind of like an outstanding moment where I was like, huh, and I kind of like for a second, I was kind of like sitting beside my body, like out of my body, like, hey, that's Peter Dinklage. And then I came back and I was like, yeah, back to the story. That was like a.
Yeah,
that's when I leaned over really loudly. Levi, I'm like, is that Ned Stark everybody's done talking about?
I know that, like...
I yelled out, winter is coming!
I know, like, my partner was like, okay, I'm going to need to pee at some point during this movie, so you need to tell me when the good part. I was like, I know the perfect scene.
You're like, this is the go get your popcorn scene.
Yes.
Like, is he related to Tony Stark? People are like, no, Jimmy, what are you doing? Yeah, I have a theory that in the next movie we're gonna go back to that place, and I think that metal, is Uru. It's this very powerful stuff. I think Iron Man's gonna get. That's the last suit we're gonna see Iron Man in, is an Asgardian Uru metal suit, because he's made it in the past and he like personally makes some, and that's what he's gonna use to fight Thanos. Like he's gonna come
is that
back.
In the comics?
Yeah, and it's like
okay.
I remember it in the TV show Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but I'm sure it's in the comics as well. So that would be pretty sweet to see, to also come full circle to show another shot of Tony just in a forge going like ding, ding, like in Iron Man where you're like, yeah, like I think that'd be pretty cool. That's just me personally. Speaking of other kind of outstanding moments, we had a cameo in this movie, maybe not a cameo, but from another character that I thought we would probably never see again. Done, voice acted, believe it or not. And I've got the name of the guy right here, Ross Marquand, who ended up playing the voice of Red Skull, who in previous has done first Avenger. It was Hugo Weaving, who said he was like, he wasn't sure he was going to come back to this stuff. But seeing Red Skull, for me personally, because everybody knows I love Cap. First Avenger is a great film, and at the end of that one, spoiler alert, but he gets the Tesseract, he ports away, and you're like, all right, what happened there? Now he's here. He's kind of like the steward of anybody looking for the Soul Stone. Joe, did you like seeing good old freaking Red Dome?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, oh, wow. But it's also like, okay, he grabbed the Tesseract, which if you think about it, this whole thing, except for Guardians of the Galaxy, other than that movie, all these movies are kind of like the Tesseract is kind of like the main thing, or at least Avengers and all that. Our first glimpse at an Infinity Stone, right?
And the Mind Stone.
It's just, which is in Ultron.
It's in Avengers as well, like in the scepter. Loki touches Hawkeye. Hawkeye shoots everybody.
Oh, is it really? I thought that was okay. Whatever. Either way, so Tesseract, he grabs the Tesseract, which is the space stone inside a cube of whatever it is. What? So the space stone's just like, you know what? I know the perfect job for you. I've got a cousin over on this planet. Like, how? I don't understand the link between those two. Like, what makes him go to be the guardian of that or whatever?
Are you talking about the collector?
No, he's talking about Red Skull and why he got ported to that planet to
Oh.
Vormir.
Yeah, I don't understand the connection. Like the space stone, like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, so the space stone's like, all right, you know what? I got a job for you. I've got a cousin over on this planet. You know, I think you'd be a good guardian for that. So see ya.
It's
Like-
interesting you bring that up because I've heard that the Soul Stone that's on Vormir is like it has dominion over all the other stones somehow. So maybe the whole point was like he touched that and like he was just like, oh, he's going to this place, and then the Soul Stone is like, oh, you seek my power, but you don't have anything you love to give up. So like you're just gonna be trapped here forever.
Okay,
And you have all this
there you go.
knowledge.
You
Yeah.
kind of proved it out for me. So
But
yeah,
they should,
that
if you're confused, it's they didn't do a good enough job. Then you're like, why
Yeah.
the heck did he?
Or more, maybe he's gonna have a different like guardianship over it. Maybe he's gonna have like a different role in the next Avengers, and we'll see. Something.
If Red Skull comes back though, I would be I would be pleased because I think typically the Marvel villains have an issue with sticking around and the good ones don't. They're not always around. I don't know if you'd bring Red Skull fully back. It was just a nice moment because I was like, oh, cool. I thought we were gonna see Hela, but we saw him instead. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, at first because it looked like it was gonna be the goddess of death, or the god of death, Lady Death, whatever. So we might see him again as like some kind of figure.
He could pop back up. Yeah.
he's gonna bring Gamora back.
Yeah, I think when they crush all that, Gamora will come back. But that was another part. I thought that scene drags on a little bit because like Gamora is sitting there with Thanos and they're with Red Skull on Vormir. And Red Skull's like, hey man, Thanos, you got to give us up the thing you love the most. And she's all like, I just waited for a day that you truly lose or whatever. And
I liked that scene a lot.
I like it, but I just don't like that Gamora is so stupid. Like, it's like the whole thing, she just doesn't get that
She didn't
she's
get it,
the
yeah.
sacrifice. I'm like, why are you this dumb? Like,
Because she's like, she's like, you don't love anything, but he loved you,
but
baby.
clearly, obviously, he does because, like, not that this is how you show someone you love them, but, like, he like, kind of captures her and then brings her, like, food. He doesn't put her in a prison. He doesn't torture her right away. It's, like, clearly he, like, talks about, like, affectionately his daughter, and he's like, I was hoping to see you in that chair one day. Like, that is, like, the fatherly love, kind of thing. So I was like, come on. I think it would have been more impactful if it would have been like he would have just grabbed her and just thrown her off right away, like without hesitation. But it kind of endears you to Thanos to see him cry, and then Red Skull says what I'm thinking. He's like, those tears, they're not for him. And I was just like, are they gonna do this? And then it was like, yep, we're just gonna chuck Gamora off a cliff. And then
I saw it coming pretty quick. But
I thought that was impactful. I don't think she'll stay dead. I think it'd be bold if they kept her dead, but I think she'll come back. Like I
thought that was going to segue into Lady Death, and we were going to see Lady Death, but
yeah, that would have been cool.
I don't think we're going to see her until next year.
I like Gamora as a character. I like Zoe Saldana playing her. I think I just like her.
Yeah, I like her and Nebula a lot. I just don't like that it's so her character right now. They haven't really fleshed her out besides being like a rival to Nebula and just like a sexual conquest for Peter. Like that's been her character. Like she's just kind of like, I'm just along for the ride. Like
Sure.
I want Gamora to have her own thing.
What did Nebula do in this movie?
She broke out of being imprisoned and crashed a plane or a ship into Thanos, and she's almost already killed him. She might be the one who kills him in the next movie. Which
God, it's probably gonna be Gamora and Nebula with that dagger. I think I'm calling that. It's either they're gonna be that or Captain Marvel.
I like how many people got close to killing him. Like Peter should have shot him in the face in that last fight, but like Loki gets like, whoop, like I guess the space gem can like stop you from moving or something. I was like, that's pretty good.
You know what? Calling it now. We'll talk about it in a year from now. But I think Captain Marvel is going to put him in some kind of hold, and then Gamora and Nebula are going to finish him off.
That'd be sick. Yeah, a bunch of ladies just killing him.
Mm-hmm.
Prediction: Captain Marvel dies.
Joe,
wow, just gets reinstated, and then like bye, bye, Carol.
Just like walking into Kevin Feige's office, he's like, "Hey, here's a bold prediction for you, hot stuff." Captain Marvel's dead. What do you think about that? He's like, I don't know how you got in here, and you got to get out. Like it's gonna happen. They're like dragging you away. You're like, it's gonna happen. And then you quietly just say, in my fan edit. Let's see. Well, there's a lot, obviously, that we're moving through here, and we've kind of talked about a lot of characters, but I do want to move over quickly to Vision and Scarlet Witch, and then the introduction of Captain America and kind of like the on the run team, as it were. Do we like the romance between Vision and Scarlet Witch? Do we feel it's authentic? Levi, do
you are reading my mind. I'm like, do we like having like a robot kind of relationship? Are we okay with that? I mean, it's 2018. You do you, but I mean, I feel like it's a little weird. I don't get me wrong. Love Vision, love his character. Plays a great human, but
I think
weird.
Out of anything in that movie, his transformation from a human to like his Vision self would be the most jarring if you were just a person who walked in and you're like, I've got a pretty good grasp on all this now. And then they like stab him in the back and he's like, ah.
Red guy. Like, I suppose, yeah.
Is that what happens when they stab you with that spear? You turn into a man with a cape?
I like it. I get it.
Yeah. I'll do it next.
I mean, he has human parts to him. He's got a soul, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, it's weird because they say, you know, he's part Tony, he's part Bruce Banner, he's part Jarvis, he's part Ultron. Yeah, he's a lot of different things. So he's kind of like his own thing right now, but he has that mind gem, you know, stuck in the top of him. I don't know. Joe, what do you think about that relationship? Do you like seeing those two together? I mean, they're a pretty good power couple at the very least.
I'm indifferent, but they had to it works for the storyline. And I understand that that's how it went in the comics and it's OG and all, but I'm indifferent.
At least they didn't overdo it.
Yeah. And they're kind of the two of them fighting, I thought was pretty good, and kind of seeing these two members, Thanos' children. I think this is Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight. One of my favorite moments in the movie, and I don't know if we heard a gasp, but when Proxima Midnight is about to kill, you know, Vision and Scarlet Witch, and she kind of looks past the subway and the subway's going past, and then you just see it's in the trailers, but there's something about how they shot it, and I just think it's because the Russos also love Captain America. But seeing Cap come out of the shadows, it's like, oh, it's on, and it's like he's not the best, like, you know, compared to these other people, but you're still like, Cap's here, like, yeah, Cap's here, baby, because like catches the spear, like, whatever, dude. Like, I love that whole bit.
Yeah, it is funny. The other night, I this week I watched Captain America: The First Avenger. And I was like, man, I didn't realize how good of a movie that actually was. It kind of gave me a better appreciation for Captain America.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. It's like the clouds have parted and the heavens just calling down to me. It's like people are starting to get it. First Avenger is so good, man. It's so good.
But the way they introduce him is definitely pretty. It psychs you out a little bit. You're like, oh, that was pretty awesome, and she kind of does that, like double, like hones in on, like, what the hell? And the spear throw at him, and he catches it, and they're kind of surprised. Yeah, that was sweet.
How do we feel about the hair and the beard? What do we think about that?
He's a man's man.
He's a man's man. Take
no shit.
He's so sexy. Oh my god, I love that hair.
I think the hair is good. I think the beard makes him look very gruff, which is fine, but like it doesn't play with his voice because he still has that kind of high like later on he's yelling to Vision. He's like, "Get out of here!" It's just very like. I feel like with that beard, he's got to be like, "Go."
No, I think it's nice. It's nice.
Okay, you like it. I love, you know, jumping forward a little bit when he has just one moment basically with Thor, and you know he's kind of like, he points to him. He's like, oh, I can, you cut your hair. And he's like, I see you've, you know, copied my beard. You know, they just have that little moment, like, hey, buddy, hey, how's it going? Like,
well, and Thor is indifferent on the whole Accords thing.
Oh, yeah, he couldn't, like, if it seems so trivial. And I love that. Civil War, if you look back now, you're like, guys, figure it out. Like, now this is like a big
shit's coming, yeah.
Like, and that's, Joe, thank you for reminding me at the beginning where Bruce is like the audience kind of, but he's like talking to Tony. He's like, Tony, call Cap. And he's like, stuff's happened, man. And he's like, call Cap, man. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, put your little petty grievances aside. Call him right now.
Shit's
like,
going down.
Stark's like, well, what the hell's Tony gonna, or what the hell's Captain America gonna do? Come on.
Yeah.
I'm Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and he's got Falcon, which is pretty good. Speaking of hair, how do we feel about the blonde Black Widow? Supposedly, while she was on the run, she dyed her hair maybe or something. Levi, do you like the blonde? Do you like that?
No.
Fine. Joe, how about you?
Do I like the blonde? Yeah, whatever. She's a person. She can do whatever the hell she wants.
She's a person.
I think it's funny. She's like got all this gear.
You're not her dad.
And she still has like the low zipper like on her jacket. She's like, I'm still a sexy fighter with my batons or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you'd be so dead.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. All right. I'm gonna say this right now. Like the Dora Milaje, I get it. They're trained.
Yeah.
And they're using actual like Wakandan weapons. But like how they cut away from Black Widow at the end of that big fight, because if any one of those aliens would have gotten to her, she'd be toast. I don't care, man. Like they're not going to be like, oh, she's so sexy, I won't attack her. Like, that seems to be her best move. Like, most grunts are like, oh, God, like, how do you shoot this thing? And they kind of just shoot up into the air. It still bugs me. And this is not, like, if they flip the genders, it's the same thing. Like, if it was just a regular dude out there, all the dudes out there are juiced, they're cheating. They're all cheaters out there, okay? I get that. Captain America's doping. Iron Man's got the suit. Thor is, he's a god. So it's like, everybody out there is cheating. So it's not like there's any just like regular man. It's not like Larry came in and he's like, I'm coming. And I know she's trained, but the batons, like give her some Wakandan guns. Give her those Panther gauntlets or something. Just bugs me. Anyway, but yeah, so the ragtag crew, they save them. They're going to go back and hang out because New York's under attack, obviously. But yeah, this movie is nuts because it kind of takes place on like 3 different like settings simultaneously. It feels a little bit like Lord of the Rings in that sense. Did you guys get that vibe at all? Like it was kind of like jump.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
Well, I think one thing that was advantageous to the story about that fact is that the team was split. Well, not the team, the entire group of them all. It wasn't like they were all one place with one focus. It was like this was going on there, this was going on there, that was going on here. So they were all kind of spread throughout. So it's not like a giant hammer falling on one ant. There's 3 ants and all the little hammers.
Very heist focused.
Yeah.
Kind of, but from like I guess when I always think of heist films, I think of kind of like lights and like they have like one goal, and I guess Thanos would be like the guy who's like stealing the stuff, in that way. So I guess you're kind of right. One thing I think that worked really well, I think my favorite bit is the group on Titan who's waiting to see Thanos show up. And I think one of my favorite things in the whole movie, and we'll come back to him, but is they're all kind of standing there planning this out. I love the interactions. There's so many good ones. We talked about Thor and Rocket. One that I love is just poor Tony Stark trying to deal with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's like, here's the plan. And like, he's like, Drax, are you even listening or whatever? And he's like, no, I wasn't. And it's just, he is like, this is the A team, the Avengers, and it's like Guardians is like the C or D team, and you're like, and Drax is like, tell them about the dance off to save the universe or whatever. It's like, what are you guys even talking about? He's just like, can we get together? And Peter just being like an idiot who's just like, your plan's good, but mine will be better because yours is stupid and mine will be good. And it's like, somebody just punch him in the face. Like, there's no way he could take on. Like,
go back to Isla Nublar, asshole.
Joe's just in there. I got problems with Black Widow. Joe's just like, Chris Pratt's got to get out of here. But I love that, like, they look over to Doctor Strange after Mantis is kind of jumping around, like, with, like, lower gravity, which they don't really play with too much. For some reason, there's oxygen on Titan. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But she's like, does your friend normally do that? And he's sitting there, and he's using the time gem, and he's like, I've seen 14,605 outcomes. And they're like, how many do we win? And he's like, 1. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, because it really just plants that narrative, that seed saying like whatever happens is hopefully what's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah, right? Well, here's the thing, Jimmy, and here's what I was holding up my sleeve that I wanted to bring up is that what he said right there is okay. He knew that Star-Lord was gonna lose it, right?
Yep, exactly.
He foresaw that. He knew it.
and he says to Tony, like, this is the only way. And it's like,
exactly.
oh, because he's giving up the time gem, even though in the beginning he's like, if it comes down to the time gem, you were the kid. He's like, I'm picking the time gem. He's like, I'll let you both die. And he's like, all right, moral
But
compass.
after he did that, he said we won 1 out of that 14,605,000. So he knew that Star-Lord would freak out. He willingly gave up the gem to save them. Obviously, the cycle that he saw, the happening, the circumstance, the situation has not come full circle yet. Mm-hmm. We've only made it halfway around. We still have 12 hours to go till we come back to the start. So I think we have yet to see what he saw fully play out. It's not just one little 10-minute ordeal in time. He saw the entire.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that plays a part. Obviously, Strange knows more than he's letting on. Hence why you didn't see a lot of them towards the end of the movie. When they all poofed away, he said it was the only way. Or I'm sorry, Tony, it was the only way.
Yeah.
They don't go any further than that. And if
Tony's like, what the hell?
Exactly. You don't totally pick up on it when he says that. You don't really. If you're not paying attention, that kind of, because he just kind of utters it and it moves on. But clearly, that's a big point in the whole thing. So.
Yeah. Well, during that fight, when they're all kind of pinning him down, I think Strange has got a hold of his left arm, or his right arm, I should say, with one of his chains or whatever. And they don't shoot to Strange going like they're just kind of like watching, like, because if something were to have happened, you'd think he would have been like, all right, I'm gonna let go one arm and I'm gonna just like do something quick with magic and be like, get out of here, Quill. Like, I'm gonna portal him out. Levi, again, I know, big Strange fan. Was that one of your favorite things about him in this movie? Like that, I thought the time part was just so cool.
So cool.
No, I meant the time stuff, like looking forward, where he's just kind of like.
Oh, I mean, it was fine. It felt a little cheesy, actually.
Oh, really? You didn't like that, huh?
Like his jitteriness felt a little cheesy to me.
Okay. 14,605 times.
Yeah, no, I like that, but just the way he was like freaking out and seizuring.
I'm gonna be bleeding
no,
out my nose.
I was such a big fan of like the spells. Like the chains were so cool.
We'll get to it. Trust me.
Okay.
We will. I want to. All I'm thinking though is like, out of all those times, how many was he like thinking, oh, we got this? Like he's got like a little chart. He's like, here we go. And then like at the very end, like Tony slips on a rock or something like that. And he's like, and we failed.
Well, and he has a photographic memory. He was a doctor. So, and he says that in the Doctor Strange film. So he'd know.
Yeah, that's cool. Man, yeah, Doc. That whole part with all of them like holding him down. And I like to, because we see back in Nowhere when Thanos gets the reality gem, he kind of captures Gamora and they have that whole bit where Peter has to kill her and it doesn't work because Thanos loves turning things into bubbles. It's like turn your gun into bubbles, like your bullets, or turn a knife into bubbles. That's his whole. He loves the bubbles.
There's gotta be something with that. There's like a bubble reference from when Gamora was younger. I'm sure that's somewhere.
Oh, maybe. But I think that kind of establishing Drax, I thought was kind of cool because the first time he sees him, he's like, I'm gonna kill him. This is for my wife and daughter. And then like Mantis puts him to sleep, and then he gets turned to clay eventually, or bricks, and she gets turned into all these like little ribbons.
Coils. Yeah, that happens in the comic. That's true to the story.
They do train, like some of them get turned into stuff like that. I like that later though, Drax is willing to play ball. I love that like he has gone nuts, but like at the same time he's like, all right, I'll hold his right leg or whatever. He's like, I will do this. I will hold him so you could do this, and then we can kill him. And I wonder if any of those 14 million was ever just Peter just shooting him point blank instead of hitting him, because like that would probably kill him. That's why I think like Ant-Man and especially Hawkeye weren't in this one, because I don't know if Thanos could account for an arrow straight to the head and blowing up. I was thinking about that. Like he could maybe like Loki's taken a shot like that before, but I mean like right in the head, from like a great distance. Like he wouldn't be able to account for that. I was thinking about that. Am I crazy, guys? Like,
when Cap doesn't have a shield, because Cap could have just thrown a shield at his head or something. Or I don't know.
Yeah, which it's coming back in the next one though. Tony will be like, my dad would want you to have this. And you'd be like,
where is the shield? Do we know?
Tony's got it. Remember, he's like, that's government property. That doesn't belong to you or whatever. He's like, it's like he throws it on the ground. Remember at the end of Civil War? He's like,
okay. Yeah.
Which I like that. I feel like Cap has the same outfit, but he just ripped the star off of it. Like he just one day was like, no more America. And he's just grabbed the star and is like, ripping like pieces off of it. Because if you look at that suit, it looks like he like manually altered it himself.
Yeah.
He's just like, no one will know it's me. He's like, I grew out a beard in my hair. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the last little bit here. The big fight scenes. We're gonna get to that one on Titan last because I think it's the most eye-catching, eye-popping. Wakanda. We've got M'Baku. We've got the Dora Milaje. We've got everybody. Black Panther gets, Bucky a sweet new vibranium arm. You see Black Panther and Cap go running out into the battlefield above everybody else, which is I love. Is there any bit for you, Joe, in this fight that you loved where you're like, wow, like that was real good?
Yeah, War Machine, hands down.
Dude, when he blows stuff up,
dude, yeah, like when he, and it's probably the most practical thing in kind of standard U.S. military deal, but when he, he flies over next to the dome of the shield, or where they're all coming in from, and so there's the highest concentration. He just flies along the line of them and just carpet bombs them, and I'm just like,
dude, yeah, and he has another moment.
Nobody else is going to take out a few hundred in one swath like he did.
Yeah, well, he has a moment like Thor does in the first Avengers where Thor's on the Chrysler building using the lightning to shoot all the Chitauri. There's one moment where they do a shot of him using all the guns and he's just shooting at that little like choke point and he's just bottleneck blowing up everybody. And he's just kind of like, just like, I was like,
when does he run out of ammo?
Yeah, that's a great question. He's just like, he'll run out eventually. But yeah, so War Machine kind of for you. Levi, was there any moment or moments that you kind of think of where you're like, wow, that was really good?
Wakanda. I like when they killed some of the Black Order members. When like that was like a cool moment for Black Widow and Michonne. Whatever.
Yeah, I love her. Yeah. Okoye. I love Okoye. So because like I get it with her, she's got her 6 spear and stuff, and she's proven in Black Panther she can do some nutso things. But yeah, those two fighting her, that was pretty fun.
And I like the part where she's like, "Why was she up there the whole time?" Scarlet Witch comes down.
That's a good part.
Oh yeah,
we're all thinking it. And he's like, "Yeah, why didn't she come out here earlier or whatever?" And then right when that happens, Proxima Midnight tells Corvus Glaive, she's like, "Yeah, she's gone. You can go after Vision now." It's like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, that's a good moment. I think one moment though that like is striking, and it almost seems like all the Avengers should have shown up, is when Thor shows up with Stormbreaker and Rocket and Groot, like the whole theater, and I was like hitting Joe because it's like, and it's just like shows up and.
Yeah, I wasn't including that in my analysis. That's like an automatic win. Like, first off, I'm partial to Thor. Even after seeing Ragnarok, I didn't like that movie, but Thor is legitimately a very cool Marvel hero. Like, he's
badass.
I wish he would have kept the eye patch. Like the fact that he loses it and Rocket gives him a new eye. I think it would have been cooler to keep him like Odin style. Like he's a badass, like short hair, like he's got an eye patch, super new weapon. Like, but that moment when he
it makes him seem a little more gruff, huh?
Yeah, I just love this. Even Bruce Banner's like, you guys are all screwed. It's just like just shows up. Like Thor is the only person beside like War Machine in that moment, maybe, or Scarlet Witch. Maybe Doc Strange, who could kill. He kills like so many. He just shows up and he runs out. He's like, and he's just like,
yeah,
like everybody back up.
It was pretty cool. And then, yeah, that was good. But I also liked, one thing I never get sick of is the new Black Panther suit, how it stores that kinetic energy and then releases it. That is awesome.
Why didn't they give that suit to just like, they have a few more. Like, maybe just throw it on somebody else. I know they don't have to have the superpowers to use it, right? Couldn't you just put it on somebody?
Well, that's
but it's not like you're extra strong if you have it. You're protected by it.
Yeah. Shots, though, right? Same Black Widow could have used it.
Suri's going to use it in the next film. She's going to be... I think she's going to take over the Black Panther mantle.
I don't know if Shuri is. I think Okoye might, or M'Baku. But I would love Okoye, the Dora Milaje.
M'Baku's gonna be this huge, like, jaguar, like
just like a big white panther. Yeah. Like no more man-ape. He's like, I am white
man-ape.
Yeah, which good thing they did not call him that.
Where do you think that one dude's in prison? Her love interest in Black Panther?
Yeah, he wasn't in there. I wonder if it was just like, I think he's
should have just let him fight. Like, dude, you're in prison. Like, you might as well help us out.
I think it was too stuffed already. I think they were just like, let's not deal with that.
Who?
Peele or Jordan Peele.
Maybe. Okay, Joe. He like turned on everybody in Black Panther. Remember, he was like the guy.
Get Out.
He had the rhinos, Joe. He had the rhinos.
Yeah, him.
That guy. Which we didn't see any rhinos.
No,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, well, they didn't want to show any animal brutality.
Yeah, Jordan Peele.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
I like the War Machines, like the ones that kind of drill underneath. Not War Machine, who's you can see him back over there, but they drill underneath, and then like Scarlet Witch gets to show off how powerful she is. She throws those around. She throws Proxima Midnight up into one, just cuts it, and I was like, all right. Yeah, that fight is pretty good, except it gets a little nutso when Thor at the end is just like blowing up ships. He's just flying into ships. It's just like a CGI guy, just like okay, why are they taking off?
Yeah,
like that part's kind of strange. But yeah, then on the ground we have Vision fighting Corvus, and then Cap comes in there, and that fight's fine. Vision gets the kill on him, but yeah. Now let's just jump over quick to Titan, which I think is my favorite part. I love Doc Strange just sitting there, and everybody's like it's like that old school ambush where they show everybody like Spidey's kind of up high, Star-Lord's like sitting with his back against.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Wild West whistle,
Oh, for sure. And there's just Doctor Strange just sitting on a rock. He's like, "Yeah, you do look like a Thanos." Just like a cocky jerk, but still just like, all right. But now we can talk about this part. Levi, tell me why you love Doctor Strange in this movie so much.
First of all, Doctor Strange is already one of my favorite Marvel characters, but his spells are so much cooler in this. It shows much more mobility in this one, and those chains. That's the coolest thing.
And it's like,
why doesn't he ever put him in another dimension and mess with him with like the?
Because he knows that he can pour. He knows he can just pour right back.
Yeah, and I don't know if the whole portal thing. How they chop off Cull Obsidian is I think the big guy. They chop off an arm early on with the portal thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that would work on Thanos. So, Joe, that's a good question.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently, you can stab Thanos. If you can stab him and he bleeds, then you can cut off his arm.
Yeah,
why didn't they go for that to begin with? Whatever.
We'll get to bleeding in a second.
No, let's just take the gauntlet off.
Yeah.
No, let's just cut the arm off.
There's probably like a million times that like Strange saw the like them cutting off the arm, and they're like, this works perfectly, and like half of it was the reality like stone, and he's like, oh, that didn't, we fell for that, like he's just like checking the box. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, I wonder, but I mean, it seems so simple. You got him tranced, it's him, that's his arm, that is the gauntlet. Out of all the characters there, Tony could have sliced it off. I mean, maybe it could have been taken off.
But Tony hits him really hard with like that blade or like a punch or something, and he only gets like a nick on him because he's like, all that for a little bit of blood or like a speck of blood. And I was like, oh, you make a god bleed though. I thought that was the whole purpose, even though Loki in the beginning is like, you'll never be a god.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was the point. But like the fact that with fighting Thanos, Doctor Strange, he helps like Peter jump up like Mordo in the last movie, like he kind of helps him, and then he makes a portal behind him so he could fall back into it. I love that Spidey, people talk about this, but like the magical, like he's like magic attack, magic kick, like Spidey's just going in and out of portals, just kicking him, punching him. It's like, where are you coming from, kid? I love that, like Spidey's just part of the team, and he's trying to save everybody. He's like, I can't remember everybody's names. Like later on, he's just like webbing people. I thought that part was good. But yeah, Levi talking with the chains and all of that, making the clones of himself, but pretty much
the clones were so cool.
The clones were amazing. I love that he's like the only Avenger, maybe besides Iron Man a little bit, who goes toe to toe against just like the Infinity Stones. Like everyone they're like kind of like going against. Man, like it was so good to see spells because like
he's one of the only ones that can.
Yeah, it was like he's got the whip and stuff and the shield in the movie, but like this was like a new level. Like all the whips of the clones, and then I think Thanos uses the soul gem to like find out which one is him, and like, oh, that dang, like he almost gets to use that time gem. Ugh, dang it, you know what I mean? Like he probably should be prepping that, but yeah, that was amazing. But that whole fight is cool. I think it's really great. Is there any standout, Joe, for you in that fight where you're like, there's a moment where you're like, sick, that was a good part?
I think Iron Man's a standout in that fight. Yeah. I kind of like how I like the way he fought him. First off, I understand Doctor Strange is probably most well equipped, but Iron Man's just kind of like brute force method. Obviously, it's not going to work, but it was still pretty eye popping. Like I enjoyed it, and I was like,
Yeah.
You're the OG, Stark. Get after it, man.
Well, they throw all those metal shards at Thanos, and Thanos turns them into like these metal like birds that chase him around, and he has to like get away from those, and eventually comes back after Thanos throws like that moon at him, and he's just like, if you throw another moon at me, I'm gonna be pissed or whatever. It's just like, how can you say that after that happens? It's just like, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's even a moment where I think
Then he gets stabbed.
Strange turns some attack into a bunch of butterflies. It was very like Voldemort meets Dumbledore fight. It's just very like, I've got a thing, I'll cancel your thing, I'll cancel that thing. But Tony losing like parts on his leg to like build up stuff here, and that was
the regeneration, all that. Like he's about to take a hit to the face, so he like takes it from his leg and regenerates it at his head, and or then he like takes it from his leg or his arm to regenerate it to this arm for a cannon. Like that was pretty sick, but that was at the final moments when you knew it was just like, I admire your try, but
I do love that, because after they screw up trying to get the gauntlet off, which they get so close and it's so devastating to watch, and
I almost got it.
Yeah, they're like, screw it, let's just kill him. Like they're all just trying, like just so like haphazardly trying to kill him. Emphasis on blades in the fight. When I watched it again, Levi, I think Doctor Strange does summon a sword. It's not Drax as he tries to use it. And then Tony gets stabbed by one of his like own blades, like he's trying to use on Thanos. Like I said, very Blue Beetle, which is very cool. And that whole moment where Thanos kind of is like, I know of you, Stark. And he's like, I too am like cursed with knowledge, and saying to that line that Levi.
And then after the fight, when Thanos says, what does he say? I'll let you live, or you have my respect, Stark.
Yeah, I hope they remember you.
Yeah, I hope they remember you. I love that moment so much, because
Josh Brolin was a great actor. I just want to interject there and say
he was good.
Definitely one of the most interesting villains.
Josh Brolin actually went to the theaters. He snuck into a theater with his wife to see the movie. He's seen it twice, once premiere and then once with his wife, just casual.
Could you imagine sitting in a theater and like kind of glancing over and thinking like, is that? I'm not gonna, but you just kind of lean over and you're like, so what do you think of that Thanos guy? Pretty good, right?
Yeah, I don't know how like recognizable Josh Brolin really is out on the street. But
my question to you boys is that in the comics, obviously, he's more motivated by romancing death. Do you think, and like Levi, I'll ask you this first, do you think his motivations are clear enough in this to be this genocidal?
I mean, Thanos really thinks that he's doing the world a favor by doing this. He thinks that he's, right. And so, I mean, I don't think that the motivation for death is needed in this storyline. He thinks that it's all on his own. All he wants is that perfect sunset.
And you can tell it's taking a toll on him, because especially when he like shows up on Titan, he's like, oh, I guess the Maw is dead, and they're like, yep, and he's like, or whatever, but he's like, today extracts a heavy toll. Like you can tell he's just like, how
you just killed Gamora.
Joe, what do you think? Do you feel like he's justified? He kind of shows Titan, which is kind of cool for a second. He's kind of like, this is my planet, They didn't listen. I feel like that's what he was trying to prove.
It was cool. I feel, to be honest, if I was to play a character in the MCU, I would be Thanos.
You totally would. You just be like, we gotta half everybody.
Only here I get to decide. It's not random. I know.
There we go. Well, I guess maybe not so much Thanos anymore. Straight up.
No, I mean, you understand what he's saying. I mean, it's even a modern day concern to some people. I mean, a lot of people are concerned that overpopulation, growing / producing food for the world will become an issue, and eventually quality of life will become an issue. I think it's almost kind of like they foreshadow like these Marvel movies. If you think of some of them, like politics, the Accords, how politics are a pain in the ass and just unattractive to most, Captain America is even kind of, walking away from it. Maybe this instance is another example of, how the world's always growing. There's no regulation on that sort of thing. You got to admit, I mean, the guy, he's like, it'll all turn out that way. There's some reasoning there. There's some logic there. It's just going about it the wrong way. The whole randomness of it all, and that some of the universe's best people would just dissolve.
Yeah,
and some of the worst ones would still be left. Not that anybody deserves that, but there are probably some that are more deserving than others, etc. So I am not a genocidal maniac. I just
I'm glad that you said that. We'll have that on record.
Yeah. Just so nobody's like, that Joe Lever, you need to get him off that podcast. He's insane. He's an asshole. No, I get it. I mean, I think even in modern day, it's a concern. I just, he's taken it to new levels, and I think you have to be a little, there has to be a couple screws loose to be able to be that motivated to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
So just because your race failed doesn't mean you can't watch another race fail. Why do you care so much about somebody else? I mean, I don't know.
I think
go about your own business.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of cool too in the beginning of the next one to see a little bit of that. I would just absolutely love just him approaching, the members of Titan and saying like, guys, I've done the numbers. Like, we can't sustain this population. We're all going to die. And they're like, Thanos, we've heard you talk about this before, but just don't worry about it. Like kind of like a Krypton, he's almost like Jor-El or whatever, Jor-El, where you just be like, guys, we got to fix this. And they're like, they didn't listen. But I also feel like he's kind of a bully, and like he's very calculated in this one. And I love the line where she's like, Gamora's like, you're insane. Like, you don't understand. And he's like, I'm the only one who understands. Like, he's the only one who's just like, somebody's got to do something. And
what would be really cool is if he used the time stone to go forward and see the outcome of the universe and how things unfold throughout the races and societies. And then he comes back and he shows people the reality with the reality stone. Here's what it looks like in this year. You know, but if 100 years from now, here's what your future holds. If I wouldn't have done what I did, that would be kind of cool.
That time stone would be too cheap though. If he had that early on, there wouldn't be any fighting. He'd be like, and nope. And you're like, oh, okay. That, like, I understand what you're saying. That would be very cool. But
well, hell, a lot of the little hurdles he faced and had to jump, a lot of those hurdles could have been beaten by any of the stones, especially like the reality stone. Anything anybody did, you could just like, I don't like that. change it. But that, like, for a movie, they put like restraints on it. It's like, well, we don't want Thanos to be too creative and just be like, you're a bunny, you're a bunny, you're a bunny. I'm just going to walk up and do this. But in all reality, that's what he could have done. And I feel like you almost kind of the more you think about it, you start to kind of punch holes in it. And it's like, well, okay, if you have those stones, even the reality stone, you trump everything. Yeah, you're not going to do anything. Okay, you're a bunny. All right, you're a squirrel. I don't care about you. You're harmless. You're a ladybug. You know, like.
Yeah, see, if Taika Waititi would have directed this, he would have been like, you're a bunny, you're a bunny. He would have looked at Raccoon or Rocket and been like, you're done already. You're like,
but, I mean, logically, if you were Thanos, wouldn't you have just done that and been done with it all?
I think that's the point, though. He's flawed, and in the beginning, Ebony Maw kind of even gestures to, why do I know these names? Call Obsidian, but he's like, let him have his fun when he fights the Hulk, because I think Thanos loves a fight. I think he hasn't fought too many beings where he's like, this is actually a fight for him, because he likes to scrap. I think he really digs it. Like, he bleeds a little. He's just kind of like, okay, all right, we haven't done this in a bit. Like,
Did he bleed at all when Hulk went after him?
No. Hulk gets bloody, but
he probably doesn't get a lot of challengers. That's the thing. So
yeah, that's why I think he's like, all right, these guys are putting up a bit of a fight. I'll play ball. Let's do this, kind of thing. And he's like, at any moment, he could be like, and we're done with this fight, And that's why when it got to that moment on Titan, he's kind of like, okay, like, we're using the gems now. Like, I'm done kind of screwing around. Yeah, that's interesting. But that's Thanos, man. And I think he's easily one of the best villains, if not the best villain we have now in the MCU. He's so complex, and making him kind of the star of the show, I think, was really smart. And still want that video game. But finally, let's get to the very end here. Goes to get Vision. That all goes down. He's using the gems just to, like, swat the Avengers off like they're nothing. And then we get Thor in this fateful moment throwing Stormbreaker at this beam of all these Infinity Gems, which to us and to everybody, the Infinity Gauntlet is just a weapon. We don't know if it could like double the resources of the universe or not, because it's like, why wouldn't Thanos just be like, I'll be the good guy, you know what I mean, like instead of being like a total jerk. So maybe you can't do that with the Infinity Gauntlet, but Thor throwing it just in a moment when he could, and he kind of getting up close, gets that axe and buries it in him, kind of like, I said I would kill you, and just like Thanos be like, you should have gone for the head, like, and just doing the snap, and just like that harrowing realization that the whole theater had both times, seeing with each of you guys, like where it just goes all quiet and everybody starts turning to ash. It starts with Winter Soldier, and it's just like,
my favorite character just gonna.
Was there any, like, Levi, for you that was just like, oh wow, they actually gonna kill that person? Or was there any that were like, that's emotional? Like,
well, I'm surprised that he left Eddie alive. Like, why would you leave Eddie alive knowing that they could come back and like maybe do something to you?
Well, his whole thing, remember he said like earlier, his whole thought was like, let's do it random, doesn't matter what class or race or gender or whatever. He's like, I just want it to be just complete random wipeout, like a path, But was there any for you in particular where you're like, oh my gosh, like they killed what's his face?
Oh yeah, Spider-Man was just a lot.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was definitely a lot.
Tony, I don't feel so good. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And Tony's crying.
I was telling Jimmy about my boss took her 5-year-old, and he was very upset when that happened. Spider-Man was his favorite character.
It is.
He'll never be back, kid. Never.
It's painful, and the worst part of it all is when he lays down and he looks at him, and Peter just says to Tony, he's like, I'm sorry. Like, he's not supposed to be there in the first place, and now just watching him die, it's like oh my gosh.
Because he just lost his kid. Yeah,
he just basically lost the only son he's ever had. I thought that was really impactful. There's some that I didn't really like. Kind of Black Panther just kind of is gone. There's like,
well, because it's probably they're getting rid of Spider-Man, they're getting rid of Black Panther. I think you could like most of them, you're just like kind of whatever. Okay, wow, that's crazy. But when they get rid of Black Panther, who just came off of one of the hottest movies ever, everybody loves Black Panther. Freaking awesome, right? Spider-Man, most iconic hero probably for Marvel's, except for Iron Man, next to Iron Man.
Oh, he's above.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around longer, done, character-wise. But, yeah, I mean, getting rid of Black Panther and Spider-Man, probably the most shocking dissolving into ash moments.
Well, it happened so fast because he's like, this is no place to die, General. And then he's just gone, and she's like, what? Like, he's just... Yeah. I was wondering if it was like they were aging them like too fast, and that's why it took Peter the longest to die, because he was like, I think it was.
Who said that? This is no place to die.
No, because he was the farthest away.
Maybe no, he's the well, maybe I guess, but
that's Titan.
Well, I mean, but then Peter dies before him, like they're Drax and like Star-Lord, and which I love. Like Joe, you're probably like, go back to Jurassic World. But Levi, to answer your question, Black Panther says it to Okoye from the Dora Milaje. He's like, this is no place to die, General, because she's like laying on the ground, and he's gonna help her up, and she's like, and then he turns to ash. And the Peter Parker one is the definitely the one I was like, but obviously you can kind of see like. Maybe people who aren't in the know, this is very shocking to them, but we're left with the main cast. Because I mean, like, let's look here. Let's do a little cross them off here. All right, everybody. So Captain America, Cap, he's alive, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Falcon,
dead.
That's correct. Winter Soldier, dead.
Dead.
Iron Man, alive. War Machine, alive. Black Widow, alive. Vision, kind of dead. Scarlet Witch, dead. Black Panther.
Dead.
Hulk, still up. Well, kind of. It's weird. Thor, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax.
Why are you going so fast?
Rocket lives, but Groot doesn't. Which that scene could have been played a little bit better. It didn't feel as emotional. I don't know.
No one cares about Groot. He's a freaking twig.
I do. Spider-Man.
People love Groot.
Doctor Strange. So we are left with the core group plus like War Machine and Rocket, which honestly, I don't. Yeah, she's gonna be there. I do include her, but I didn't write her down.
Well, hold on. Doctor Strange is still alive, right?
No, he's gone. Remember, he's like, Tony, this is the only way. I'll write that down quick.
Did he dissolve?
Yeah, remember, because he does it and then he's gone.
No way.
Yeah. I think
he's the only one who's seen the whole thing.
Yeah, well, he didn't. That's why he can't be there. I think Rocket being the only one to stay from the Guardians is really cool because I think Rocket is maybe the coolest Guardian. I think he's got the most to play off of. I think him, the one interaction, we had a question about this. They said, what character interactions would we like to have seen? I think that's from my friend Cal G. I would love to see Rocket talk with Tony Stark. Like, that's what I want. I want them to be like, you know, talking like techno babble back and forth and maybe be like, you're not such a stupid human like that.
Yeah. We'll get that next year, hopefully.
Right? Like, what is there any, like, for you guys, is there any interactions that you're like, man, I wish, like, you know, Thor had gotten to talk to, like, you know, Tony. Yeah, dude, that's true because he's like, Thor? You guys know Thor? That would have been a cool one, right? Levi, is there any for you where you're like, man, I wish they would have talked, these two people?
I wish Maria Hill was able to talk to everybody. I'm just kidding.
Here.
No, I thought they did. Yeah, I got what I wanted. So
yeah. But yeah, so obviously the main cast, and I think this is going to be, it's a swan song, you know, this next one, you know, for a lot of these people where a lot of contracts are going to be up. I think they'll probably kill Cap and Iron Man for sure in this next one. I don't know how you guys feel. I just think that because I don't see a world where Iron Man lives but retires. I don't see him just being like,
that'd be weird.
He's just like, I'm out. And you're like,
unless he comes back and coaches, you know, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I just think he's gonna die. I really do, and I think that's gonna be a big part of what happens at Homecoming too. Because Peter's gonna deal with that. He's gonna be like,
oh, that's a good idea. That's a good.
My mentor's gone. Like,
you're probably right, but another part of me sees Pepper, his wife, like reining him in. Like maybe after what happened, he's like, you know, dream of kids and all that in the family, and he steps away from it all.
My friend said that he thinks it's gonna all end with them back in the park, like it never happened or something. I was like, oh god, no, there has to be consequences.
Oh, yeah, no, I could, yeah, no, yeah,
right,
like,
right.
I don't think they'll do that. But who knows anymore?
Exactly. Well, boys, is there any
expectations out the window?
Yeah, exactly. We had some reviews come in. My favorite one from my friend Chris McKeague, who super duper funny. He just sent in that picture. I was like, is it that Friday or whatever? It's Chris Tucker and Ice Cube, and they're both just like, damn, like that's what he. It's just like that's all he sent me. He's just like, he just said it's overwhelming, basically. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Hawkeye at all and predictions for?
Sure. What do you think? Where do you predict Hawkeye is going to be?
What do you think?
I think he's going to show up. I don't think he died. I think really, I think Levi, we talked about this maybe, but I think his family's dead. I think Hawkeye's family's dead, and he's back in. And he's like, I went on house arrest to be with my family. They're all dead, and it's the only reason I'm back. He's like,
yeah, I wonder if we see Avengers 4 start with like either the destruction of Xandar or like Clint's family dying. Yeah, or we see that at the end of Ant-Man, where
he's walking down the stairs and there's a pot on the floor and a bunch of ashes, and he's like runs into the kid's bedroom and there's a bunch of ashes there too. Like, and he's just like what the heck? And it grabs like some communicator device. It's like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
I think we see him lose them slowly.
Yeah, you might be right. What a horrible way to start that movie though. Just like, welcome to Avengers 4. It's gonna be real sad.
Oh, I think it's
who's left on Titan.
I think it's going to be a bleak affair. Just Nebula and Tony.
Nebula, Tony. Is it just Nebula and Tony?
Mantis is gone. She's.
Oh yeah, Mantis died too.
X is gone.
I forgot to write her down. That's so cool because Nebula and Tony have never talked before, and watching them work to get back to Earth, I think will be really fun. You'll be like, so what's your whole deal? And she'll be like, I did them. I was built, blah 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 blah, and ripped apart and stuff. Joe, Captain Marvel tease, yay or nay?
That was kind of. No, I don't know a damn thing about Captain Marvel, but it was.
Neither do we.
Huh? Mantis. Sorry, there we go. She's gonna be great. Captain Marvel's gonna be great. The pager, they're paging her. She's out in deep space or something. Levi, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that she's gonna come back and just help them kill him.
Is she a Wonder Woman or Superman?
She's a Wonder Woman, yeah. She's everything.
Yeah. She's basically Wonder Woman, but with energy beams as well. And that's not to be derivative. It's just supposed to be an explanation because I don't know a ton about her. I'm just excited to see her. And Jude Law is playing Captain Marvel, the person she gets her powers from, the Kree warrior. Like Jude Law. Hey, almost got him back in a movie with Downey Jr. and Sherlock and Watson.
Who's a Kree warrior?
His name is Marvel. It's very strange. Don't worry about it. He's the one who gives
Kree.
The Kree are
That's where
another.
she gets her powers from, yeah.
They're another alien race. They're an alien race. The Kree. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see her. I thought she could have shown up in this one. I didn't know if Clint was going to show up. I remember my friend today told me, he's like, yeah, remember they showed him with all his weird hair and stuff. So maybe he was going to be in the movie. And then they're like, we're just going to put you in Ant-Man. And then
yeah, the Russo brothers said that he was going to be in Infinity War. They actually promised it, but they just didn't say which one.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I want to end this discussion with just like overall thoughts and what we think the name of the next one's going to be. So Levi, you can spoiler it up. Just overall thoughts of the film, and what I want you to pitch me a title.
God, I don't even know. I'm glad that they're not doing Infinity Part 2 because that's kind of dumb. It deserves its own title now. God, I don't know.
But no, talk about the overall movie, man. Like, what's like? How do you feel about it? Like, good, bad, great, horrible. Like, what's your favorite?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was I've seen it twice now, and each time it was like getting kicked in the face. Just like it was just like very surreal, and you're just walking away from the theater like, what the fuck just happened?
Perfect.
Because it's never been that serious for a Marvel film before, so it's
put that down.
Gotta wait.
Levi Fletcher, it's like a kick to the face. Kevin Feige's just waiting in the theater as he comes out. It's like, if you get on the ground here, I'll just kick you a couple of times.
That's what he wants to hear, yeah. That's what he was going for, I'm sure.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do like a photo op where it's like freaking, Feige's heel on the top of my head, and he's just like looking down at me, and I'll be like, it feels a lot like this, Kevin. But yeah, obviously, like we said before, you recommended. Joe, closing thoughts and pitch me a name.
Closing thoughts. Fun movie. I like the serious tone for once. Still appropriate humor throughout. I just think it doesn't make, in my mind, I'm just like, in my mind, I just think holes punched. I think Thanos wins no matter what you do. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, I feel like the Infinity Gauntlet's like trump card regardless.
Would you like to call the next movie Avengers Infinity Gauntlet trump card?
Yeah. Avengers Infinity's End.
That's what I was gonna jokingly pitch. I have another one though. It's fine. This movie's great. It's really overwhelming and doesn't really stand on its own, but it's not supposed to. It feels very tasking, like Levi had said. You walk out of it and you're like it takes you a while to process it. And that's from someone who's watched all these movies and like knows all these characters. Mm-hmm. They don't really introduce a lot of new elements. There's a few new villains, which they're fine. Like the Black Order, they're fine. But there's just so much, and it's truly worth going to see. It's worth the price of admission. You don't have to see it in 3D. We saw it in 3D and IMAX. It's fine. Just go see it in regular theater.
I think what really stands out to me, I just wanted to say really quick, is the memorable lines with a lot of memorable dialogue.
Oh,
I think that's why it does stand on its own, because it's got a lot of lines that you can pull from and like quote and like, I'm gonna remember this movie.
One of my favorite lines, and might be from all movies, this might be a little hyperbolic. Steve Rogers is on the battlefield of Wakanda. I know I keep bringing this up, but like he's like, they're talking about the hair, and he's like, "Oh, this is my tree friend," and they shoot it over to Groot. He's like, "I am Groot," and then Steve just kind of puts a hand on his chest. He's like, "I am Steve Rogers." It's just like that thing that he comes away. I'm like, that is how you do comedy. Yeah. That is how you undercut your serious, crazy moment with a beautiful interaction between these beloved characters that have never met before. The first thing they're doing is introducing each other. Little does Cap know, that's all he says. Because like later on, he'd be like, "That's all he says is I'm." He's like, "I thought we were just talking." Like that.
I mean, that alone makes it a 10 out of 10.
Like as a fan, I'm just like, thank you. Like, thank you so much. Like
my favorite part of the entire film is Spider-Man making the alien reference.
Yeah.
His pop culture references are great. Have you ever seen that alien movie in the spaceship where they suck the thing out of the...
I like that. I just don't want them to keep doing that too much because that was a big thing in Civil War.
At the moment, it was perfect. But then he goes on and he's like, okay, but if aliens lay eggs in my chest and they come bursting out of my stomach, kill me. Something like that.
He's like, I don't want to
Or like when they're like, oh, isn't Footloose the best movie on earth? And he's like, no, it never was.
The night we went and saw it, Levi and I did, the whole theater was like, oh, like he just, and it's such a quick little thing that Peter's not like trying to throw it in his face. He's just like, Footloose isn't the best movie ever. I love that, Joe. That scene is great and it works, which is even better. But I love that he's kind of like, oh, I just said that because there's like something's approaching, and he's kind of walking away from it. He's like, don't lay your eggs in me. I thought for sure they were gonna get a big mech suit, and he was gonna be like, all right, Tony, here's what you do: you get down in a mech suit and you run up to this guy and say, get away from her, you bitch. And they're like very like, what? Because that's what Ripley says in Aliens, and I was like, this would be so funny, but it would make no sense. So. Yeah, the whole like, and then later he's like, I don't want one more pop culture reference out of you this entire trip. Like, yeah, just watching him and Spidey and Strange just go back and forth was, and the fact that they had to put Robert Downey Jr. up on like a little stand to like be eye to eye with Strange. I love that part. He's just like walks up there, he's just kind of like, you know, yeah, super good. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here because we just talk about this forever, but yeah, I think that's it. So if you guys, obviously, please let us know what you think of the show, like the seeing Avengers Infinity War. If you haven't seen it yet, I want to know what you're most excited about if you watched all of this. But if you have seen it, leave us a review, tweet at us, and let us know what you think about it. So, all right, now it's time to move into that segment of the show that I like to call, that Joe likes to call, that Levi likes to call. Levi, hit me with it, baby.
Timekillers.
That's correct. It's time for Timekillers. Which, side note, quick thing, it would have been so great if Ghost Rider was showing up, grab that gauntlet with this little bony hat. Thanos like, who are you? And he's like, guilty. And Thanos like, oh, you're burning my hand. Who's guilty?
Did we talk about that in the podcast or no?
No, we were talking about it later. I was like, we should have filmed this. Like, Joe and I went back like 10 minutes.
No, it was a while. We were talking about stuff for almost an hour, I feel like. But we were just like, if Ghost Rider shows up, I'm losing my shit. Like, if he shows up and it's just melting right through the gauntlet, guilty.
Yeah. I would have stood up in the theaters and vomited blood. I would have been like, wow. So like, but people would have been like, is he from Thor? Like, people would have been so confused because like people would be like, what's happening? You know, like they would have been like, oh,
well, don't you think most fans have already seen like the Nicolas Cage?
Maybe some have, and then some maybe have seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they have another incarnation of him. But the thing about Ghost Rider that would be so good for Thanos is he could take a hit. Like, he could take a legit, like, Infinity Gauntlet hit to the stomach and, like, still maybe get up. Like, that's the thing that's so cool about Ghost Rider. You'd be like, whoa, and he just gotta be like, oh, wow. Especially after now that he's killed all these people, he'd be like, yeah, dude, you're super guilty. Like, he has to be.
You've committed mass genocide. I want you the most.
See, it's the comedy writes itself. Ghost Rider's walking down the street, sees somebody litter, and he's like thinking about Thanos, and he's like, guilty. And he's just like walking, he's just like seeing all these little crimes, like jaywalking. He's like, guilty. He's like running towards
guiltier.
He just picks a little picture of Thanos and he burns in his hand and he's like, okay. Yeah, that'd be so good. Anyway, Timekillers. Besides Infinity War, Levi, what have you been killing time with, though?
I've been playing a lot of Fortnite lately. Streaming Fortnite.
Attaboy. Cool. Anything else?
No, not really. Haven't had much time for much else.
There's
playing some WoW. Always playing WoW.
Yeah, you got into the beta for Battle for Azeroth, right?
Yep.
Do you like that? It looks pretty cool, actually. It's not like a mission in there where you're like stealthing around. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of really cool quests and stuff. So we'll see how it shapes up.
Yeah. Joe, how about you, man? You kill any time with anything?
Not really. Still watching BMS for the third time in a row.
Killing me. All right, man. All right. Moving on. Blue Mountain State. Don't ask me. One of my favorite bits in the whole movie that gets everyone to laugh. I'm sorry, this is not really a spoiler, but what Master do serve? It's like, what am I supposed to say? Jesus. Like that whole bit, and then he calls him Mr. Lord later. He's like, call me Star Lord. That part. Oh gosh, so funny to me. For me, God of War just wrapping up, beat all the mini bosses. That's right. That's right. Just if you know what I'm talking about, it was tough, but I did it. And that's pretty much it. We did a huge 10-hour stream the other day because we celebrated 1 year on Patreon. So that's a pretty big deal. Yeah, and we had our.
How'd it go, Jimmy?
It went well. We just got to hang out with people. A Levi stream for a bit too. We just kind of bopped around playing some other games and stuff. I'd like to find a way to do it where it's like, we get some big votes on like which games we play. Because I could just play games that I want to play all the time, but it'd be more fun too to have some people be like, hey, you should play this, play that. So
sure. Twitter poll a week before. Twitter poll.
Yeah. We should do better about that. I should
Cool.
do better.
Well, nice work, eh?
Yeah, thank you to everybody who's supporting us over there. Well, we kind of already talked about community feedback and questions, more or less. But that question that came and talked about the interactions. Like I said, I do want to see Rocket talk with Iron Man. I wouldn't mind seeing Nebula interact with everybody and kind of explaining to the crew like what's going down. But I thought she was a cool character. I'm excited to see her get a little more play. But. Yeah, I think those are the best interactions that I could think of. I know we kind of talked about before. Levi, was there any, like you said, you kind of were sated, but was there any that you can think of now for the people who are left that you'd like to see? Maybe like War Machine talk to like, Rocket or something? Like, I feel like Rocket.
Or the people that are left. I mean, yeah.
Or maybe like Okoye from the Dora Milaje, if she joins up with them. Like, it would be cool to have her talk about stuff. Like
yeah, she's going to have to be in Surrey. Surrey's probably around too because we didn't see what happened to her.
I wonder if we'll see Wong. Do you guys think we'll see Wong?
Oh my God! Do you have Wong or Surrey on the list?
No, I didn't put them on the list because we don't know.
We didn't see them die. Yeah.
Okay.
I want Wong to be like the like replacement Doctor Strange for just a little bit, where he's like, I can't leave the Sanctum, and they're like, we need you, dude. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing to protect anymore. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's crazy.
What do you mean? There's still half the population. It's still all good.
I mean, there's the entire population because we are definitely not in spoilers anymore. There's everyone's alive. I'll just put spoilers throughout the entire thing. Who cares? But yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week, talking about Avengers because man, we've been talking about this for a long time, which is great. Thank you so much. You guys ever have a question or a topic you want us to cover here on the show? All you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to any three of us, any one of the three of us. You tweet at our official account, it's @GoCritical, capital G, capital C, or you can tweet at me personally. I'm at JimmyGood013. If you'd like to tweet at Levi, what can you tweet at?
I am at Levi Fletcher.
I'm changing it up. Yes, future Jimmy's
Can you
gonna love
spell
it.
that?
Can you spell it?
Oh.
Oh.
Levi like the jeans. I'll tell you.
So calm. Anyway,
How is Fletcher spelled? Is that like a?
speaking of names that end with an L and an ER, or last names like that, Joe, where can the lovely people find you at?
At Lever_627. That's Lever, just like Beaver, only with an L.
Yes, and as Levi alluded to earlier, we are streaming on twitch.tv/critical reviews, and you can come hang out with us there on the weekends and during the week. Just it always changes. So we're trying to get to our $250 mark on Patreon, so that way we can have like a set streaming schedule. It's just like our first goal. But anyway, like I said, I'll get to Patreon pitch in just a second. We got thanks to people. Daleb for amazing intro and outro music, our theme music we hear every week, and Yoren Evers, the guy who just inspires us all the time with his own comic book style. If you want to check him out and get a commission done, check him out at Naraj28 or at Jade Circle Art over on Twitter. But if you want to get some of that sweet, sick Yoren Evers avatar art, or just the look and the feel, and you want to support us at the same time, check us out, patreon.com/critical reviews. Like I said, we have some goals over there. If you want to throw us a buck, tell a friend. That helps a lot too. You can get your face on one of those cool characters yourself, and then you can join the Legion, as it were. Join our ever-growing, our masses. So thank you, boys. This is so much fun. I can talk to you guys about Avengers forever. But any final words from either of you? Joe, you got anything else you want to say?
Not really. I think 2 hours of talking Infinity War will do it, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Levi, anything else?
How about that Venom trailer?
Oh God, we're gonna be here for another 10 minutes. Bye, guys.
Yeah, just cuts right there. All right, thank you for everybody who's shown up. Hit us up anytime. We always want to hear from you guys. Love and hugs to all of you, and just remember to adapt and overcome. And we'll see you next time.